The last lesson by Alphonse Daudet opens with a young boy named Franz, who finds himself running late for school on a tranquil morning. Anxiety grips him as he realizes he hasn't prepared his French lessons on participles, which he knows his teacher, Mr. Hamel, will question him about. As Franz hurries through the town, he notices a crowd gathered in front of the town hall's bulletin board, historically the bearer of bad news. Despite the distractions, he manages to reach school, only to find it unusually quiet. Inside the classroom, all the students are already seated, and Mr. Hamel, dressed formally, is walking back and forth with his ruler. Franz is afraid to enter, fearing Mr. Hamel's scolding for being late, but to his surprise, the teacher warmly invites him to take his seat. The atmosphere feels peculiar, and Franz wonders why the backbenches are filled with villagers, including respected figures like old Hauser, the former mayor, and the former postmaster. His confusion grows as he observes Mr. Hamel's formal attire, which is typically reserved for special occasions. Mr. Hamel reveals the reason for this exceptional day. It will be his final French lesson because Berlin has mandated the teaching of only German in Alsace and Lorraine schools. This news shocks Franz, who realizes his negligence in learning French, a subject he now finds precious. Despite Mr. Hamel's stern nature, the idea of never seeing him again saddens Franz deeply. As the lesson commences, Mr. Hamel asks Franz to recite the rules of participles, but the nervous boy stumbles and mixes up his answers. Rather than scolding him, Mr. Hamel attributes the students' lack of readiness to their habit of postponing their learning. He also blames parents for prioritizing their children's work over education, and acknowledges his own mistakes in diverting Franz's focus from learning. Mr. Hamel passionately praises the French language as the clearest and most logical, emphasizing the importance of holding onto one's language as a key to freedom, especially in times of enslavement. He teaches grammar one last time, and Franz listens intently, understanding everything for the first time. The lesson continues with a writing exercise, and the room remains silent, except for the sound of pen scratching. Franz wonders if even the freedom to express oneself in their language will be denied, reflecting on the issue of linguistic chauvinism. As the class progresses, Franz notices Mr. Hamel gazing around the room, seemingly attempting to etch every detail into his memory. Having spent 40 years in the school, Mr. Hamel is now being forced to leave the country, but he remains courageous and determined to teach until the end. Finally, as the class draws to a close, Mr. Hamel stands to say his last words, but is overcome with emotion. Unable to speak, he turns to the blackboard and writes Vive la France, hoping that the French language will be appreciated and cherished. The poignant moment leaves everyone moved, and Franz realizes the profound impact of language on identity and freedom.